Hello, it's Nikki. Welcome back to part 2, Tuesday. We talk about money. As I mentioned yesterday, this week I'm talking about what happened 10 years ago when I made that move to go all in and what I learned, what I did, and to really guide you if you're in that place right now. And maybe you made the decision and you're thinking, okay, I made that decision and they said the net would appear and maybe you got the fear. So hopefully this will provide some groundedness. And then next week, I'm talking about 5 years ago when my business really elevated and things began to change. So did my life. And that was a whole new chapter. So if you haven't caught up from yesterday, do so because this will make a lot more sense. Number 1, what did I do in terms of money? I became so mindful and I really noticed the value of things and was it in keeping with my goals? And I think this is what happened. So I was about to turn 33. So I was 32 and sorry, you could do that working out yourself. So I was 32. I was coming right out the end of, my 20s, going out, doing all of the things. And I think I was still very much, we didn't have children by this point. 2 months later, I became pregnant. But it was still about birthdays and dinners out and all of the things. And I really became acutely aware that in order to make this work in a sustainable way where I wasn't going to be burnt out, I had to really watch and understand how I was going to do this financially. And so I really looked at prices. I really thought about the ROI of something, maybe in my 20s. And because I was always I always talk about my 20s and it was sort of I felt like I was just gallivanting. I was here, I was everywhere. I mean, I was working hard and I worked a lot in my 20s and I was always doing a last minute thing and no worries, I'll get on the tube, I'll come across London. It was that I'll meet somebody for a drink and then something happens and gallivanting, that's what it was. But I wasn't looking kind of beyond the next month or so. I didn't have that plan. I was in full-time fun. And I guess I sort of thought to myself, well, I'm not going to be having children anytime soon. I'm not going to be buying a house anytime soon. So why not have fun? And maybe that's what you should do in your 20s. But making this leap and knowing that I hope that children would be in my near future, I really had to commit to this chapter and make it work financially and think about things. And again, I did become a bit boring. I had to say no to things. I had to do things in a more strategic way. I had to budget. I had to say yes and say no and all of these things. And I think these phrases that leap around the internet of just write it down and the money will appear, I feel like that can be quite testing on your nervous system. I'm not saying that I don't believe in putting out good things or manifestation or anything like that, but I also know that I don't want to get to a stage where I'm just so frightened about those things. And yes, there have been times where that has been the case. And that does not make me create great art. I'm here to say, if you want to hold on to this starving artist thing and not charging for it, it might work for you. It does not work for me. When I'm at the end of whatever it is, I just want to hide and stick my head under a duvet and not do anything because I'm so frozen in that. So be really mindful about these things. Number 2, I began to charge my old day rate as my new hourly rate. That was, I guess, the beginning of the money mindset journey. And the realization that over the years, I'd had such a complex relationship with money. And I had this sense often that I was just so grateful to be in the room. I couldn't believe my luck. And I think this is what happened, from 18, from moving to London, very quickly, I was in places and spaces that I was just like, wow, this happened. This is going on and I think I did my first telly job within 5 weeks of coming to London. And I'd spent 14 years thinking about it. And it just everything came so quickly, and I was meeting people, and I didn't want to almost question anything. I just was like, okay, well, I'm here, so I'll just keep quiet. When your mum and dad might have friends over when you were a kid, and it's like, if I just sit quietly reading this book, pretending to read this book in the corner, they won't send me to bed. That was how I felt. And so therefore, I didn't know how to negotiate properly, or I took the minimum that was offered, or I said yes, maybe when I should have said no. Definitely when I should have said no. So many different things. But that was such a lesson in understanding that money is energy. Money is what you make it, as in some people can drop $5,000 on a handbag, no problem. And there will be some people standing in Primark, and there will be a handbag with a £5 sale sticker on, and they're like, I don't know if I should get it. I don't know. And somebody's just dropping $5,000, like, yeah, I fancied it. There's so many different things. So what I learned then was I had so much money mindset work that I needed to do, and I really began that process of learning about myself, my old patterns, so many different things, and also things outside of myself that affected the way as a woman that I did life and business. Interesting. Number 3, I began to focus on all the ways that money could come in. And there were so many different ways. That was the great thing. I had all this time. I could do a workshop, I could come in and talk to your company for half an hour, I could do one-on-ones, I could build a course, I could sell some of my ebooks. There were so many ways that I could make money. When you are in a place and a space where you underneath things are slightly worried that you're never going to work again, which maybe was 1% of my fear there, I had to say to myself, no. Don't allow yourself to get stuck in that scenario. Look at the ways you can make money. Look at all the skills. And yes, that sometimes feels a bit weird, because it's all right, I'm just saying how great I am. You have to say how great you are, because nobody else is. You have to go first. And sometimes it makes you feel a bit cringe. Sometimes you feel like you're being, I don't know, it's just a bit ick. But the more you do it, and the more that you focus in sort of being just a super helpful person of I can help you with that. Yeah, that's been one of my greatest phrases. I can help you with that. But what? And it always stops the conversation. What do you mean? Do you know how to do this? Yeah, I know how to do this. And I think that we are all looking for these people. And we had it over the summer, actually, because we needed some work doing on our roof. And the roofer that came round, we were like, yeah, because we're going to have scaffolding, because, yeah, it's a whole other story. You're going to have scaffolding. And he was like, I actually work in conjunction with my friend's company, which is a scaffolding company. And suddenly it was just he'd solved the problem. He didn't need to sell it. It was just such an obvious, oh, amazing. If you two could work together, then we're going to have some sort of schedule, and, oh, it's going to be great. Yeah, getting used to that. Number 4, payment systems and terms and conditions. This took me a long time to get to a place where I felt like I'd nailed it. I mean, even now, sometimes I'm like, why am I doing that thing? I will have those moments, or I need to tighten this up, or sometimes I go through an elevation of something and it no longer sits right anymore. And I think that happens with all businesses or all personal brands. You get to that stage where it's time for the next stage. But there's no point saying you want to make more money or you want to make some money if you don't have anything set up in terms of being able to receive it. And so start by creating invoices now. Start by putting and connecting your Stripe account, if that's what it is, on your website. Do it now. There's no point just saying, well, I've got more followers today. Doesn't matter. If they're not inquiring, if money's not coming through the door, it doesn't necessarily matter, because first and foremost, you have to be able to make money. You have to welcome cash money. And number 5, I decided that the best way of growing my business, because social media wasn't what it is right now. I think we had Instagram, but it certainly wasn't video heavy. It was still very like, I'm going to show you a sepia filtered version of my fish and chips. That's what it was. I think I was only talking about my business a little bit. I realized that once I got into conversations with people, once I found out more about what they were looking for, once I heard more about what they were struggling with, once I heard more about their business, once I showed them what I had done previously, or sometimes this would look like me being in a pub and hiring a corner and putting on my local Facebook group, hi everyone, I'm doing a goal setting workshop tonight. It's free. Do you want to come and meet some other people, and it will be great? And then kind of leaving and being like, okay, I didn't make any money then and just paid a £45 bar bill. Brilliant. Well done. But often these things did lead to other things. But I tell you what, most people want to hide. They don't want to have conversations. They hope and they pray that people will come to them. And I'm here to say the more you can open up the conversation, the easier it's going to be, because also that conversation that you have with that person might not be right for that person, but they might tell somebody. And what you need to do in that exchange is really showcase what it is that you do and explain it in detail. I hope that's been useful. I can't wait to see you tomorrow for day 3. All about speaking up and visibility and content and great stuff like that. Sending you lots of love. Do subscribe, do follow along. And if you are in that transition period of going all in, I wish you so much luck and support. And I'm here if you would like help and support and luck. I'm here to help. Send me a message and check out my Work With Me page. Lots of love. Bye.